Hello, neighbors. I keep saying you don't need anything special to be on city council. You just need a lot of common sense, a little bit of humility, and the ability to listen to your neighbors and properly represent them. So, that is what today's topic is all about. I have two things that I have heard overwhelming community feedback on, and I'm just going to share what I've learned, then add a little context and some conclusions. As an introduction to the first topic, some quick background on how our city council is doing surveys. A proper and effective survey requires careful thought to eliminate bias and collect meaningful information. It can be difficult and boring to get it right, so you already know our city council is not going to take the time to do that. In fact, not only do they explicitly state that part of the survey's goals are to educate the community, a goal directly opposed to impartial collection of feedback, but they go one step further and generally put out surveys that are obviously targeted towards getting a very specific answer to reinforce what they already plan to do. Some city council members have been vigorously flogging the survey results to say that 61% of the community supports universal waste collection. That is clearly incorrect. And even the analysis of the results shows the weakness of the survey, since 61% of the responses are being considered favorable, but by the city's own analysis, negative comments outweigh positive comments at a ratio of 1.6 to 1. How can there be such a disconnect? Well, let's look at the actual question asked. If you do not have current neighborhood trash services, would you be interested in the city exploring a single hauler option? Now, who would be against getting more information for something? And since many of the people that responded do have trash services they are happy with, then this is just information they think their neighbors might want. But the fact that 39% are against this tells you something. Most people that responded yes probably didn't realize this would mean they would lose their current service. More generally, time and energy spent on this is time and energy not spent on addressing more pressing needs like water security or environmental monitoring. Also, by focusing on a single hauler exclusively, you are setting up a false binary that excludes looking at options for better trash removal services for our residents unhappy with their current options while maintaining competition and choice for everyone else. Many of our neighbors are experimenting successfully with a variety of environmentally friendly and cost-effective options, and we should not interfere with this. But wasting time and eliminating options is exactly what happened. At the October 10th meeting, City Council voted to put out an RFP for single hauler trash that will force residents to accept a one-size-fits-all solution or pay a penalty to opt out to then have to find their own services, which they will still have to pay for. Very unfortunate, given that we have HOAs that have managed to contract for trash services at as little as $14 a month, and the community is bringing forward extensive examples of how this will derail current composting and other efforts. No need to take my word for it. Read the comments, look at the posts online, and read articles and commentary put out by your neighbors. Honestly, just go to the recording of the meeting and listen to the public commentary. The community has done so much work here, I have nothing to add other than one observation that I've rarely seen a situation improved by eliminating competition. Another topic that has been brought to my attention is the upcoming decision to eliminate a large part of our current air quality monitoring. Looking over records from the past few years, I am staggered to see how little time the current City Council has spent on environmental topics. Of course, as I've covered before, they do spend a lot of time talking about their pay and benefits, so they were busy with that. And I guess I shouldn't be surprised given how eager they are to damage our local ecosystem with a 4.5-acre artificial lake. But this is still shocking to me given how much they say they care about the environment. It is certainly possible that we should be changing our current environmental monitoring approach, but no comprehensive analysis has been done, and this is not part of a broader plan. This is just another example of boring things like protecting the environment or making sure our infrastructure is maintained being sacrificed to vanity projects like artificial lakes and universal waste hauling. As a scientist and business leader who has spent my entire career in biotechnology and healthcare, and yes, that includes a little bit of environmental monitoring, I can tell you this is a deadly mistake. Once you break the chain of data and observations, it is irretrievably broken even if you reinstate monitoring later. You have to start all over again. And you simply cannot make good decisions without data. Even if you think that everything is great and you don't plan to take any future actions to protect our environment, then you still need the data to make the case on why we shouldn't be worrying about this anymore. And things are definitely not perfect right now. The monitoring they plan to discontinue is providing important data on ozone levels. It provided additional information during recent wildfires, and it provided data on the impact of natural gas pipeline leaks this year. We can have debates on the value of all of this data, and we actually need to, but simply cutting the current monitoring is absolute madness. I hope we have strong turnout at the upcoming City Council meeting and the community makes its voice heard. I'll leave you with one last thought on priorities more generally. You all know from earlier videos how over 5 years the population increased 8%, operating revenue went up 26%, but operating expenses shot up 56%. Well, in that time, public works increased only 1%. Over 5 years, during a time of massive inflation and 8% population growth, the amount spent on maintaining our infrastructure was basically flat, actually decreased after inflation. Folks, the current city council spends like drunken sailors, yet somehow can't find the money for the things that really matter. If you think it's time for better priorities and you care about clean air, remember to vote right now. If you haven't already received it, your ballot comes in the mail this week.